Sorry, I'm agreeing with my family.
Brilliant. And I will keep on adding people to the audience as they come in, but I won't say anything about it. It's good to see Matthew there. Hi there. Right, so please forgive me for reading this out, but I would rather not miss things out. I'm Camilla Reeve. I run Palewell Press, and we publish books on human rights, the environment, and lost well-being. And I'm really delighted that you're joining us tonight for this a special reading of two books that I'm really proud of. One is uh, Welcoming Blue Robins by Roz Doe, and the other is Starwise by Ruth Hobson. I'd like to welcome in particular Ruth, Min, her niece Roz, and Advocate, who is part of the young people who were published in Roz's book. And if I could ask you all to stay on mute, I would be most grateful. There we go. That will help everybody's performance this evening. So basically, both the writers this evening champion the marginalised people in society. They look after people who normally don't get a chance to share their views and have be part of the debate. People say things about them. Um, Ruth has been a tireless support worker in Nottingham for homeless people, and I already published uh, Arthur Talks by her, and her new book Starwise is equally brilliant and poignant, and you'll be hearing poems from that. And Roz works with young refugees. I will introduce her fully, but at the moment, all I'm going to say is she works with young refugees in Brighton, and she will be reading from her book, Welcoming Blue Robins. Since 2016, Palewell Press has published maybe 80 books, and the two that you're going to hear from tonight are among my favorites. It's very naughty of me to have favorites, but some books you get closer to than others. And both of these are close to my heart. We especially value books that transform the narrative about people so that those people can be seen as individuals rather than stereotypes. I think that's terribly important. So I'm going to start by introducing Roz. Roz Doe has worked with young refugees for over 20 years. She holds an MSc in forced migration and a doctorate on the experiences of Bhutanese refugee children growing up in camps in Nepal. In 2004, she co-founded the charity Young Roots, which is an amazing charity, which has worked with young refugees in Lebanon, Egypt, Nepal, and currently provides services for young people living in London. Roz has been writing poetry for the last 8 years, and her full-length collection, Welcoming Blue Robins, was published this year by Palewell Press. And now I would love to hand over to Roz.
Thank you very much, Camilla. And thank you very much, Ruth, for inviting me to join you for the launch of Starwise this evening. And I've really enjoyed reading your poems that seem to share a lot of the same themes, writing about the dispossessed and the forgotten. As Camilla said, I published Welcoming Blue Robins earlier this year, and part of the book is poems by me that are written, I suppose they're poems of witness that outline what I've seen young people, young refugees seeking safety here experience, particularly while I was working as a caseworker supporting young refugees one-to-one in Croydon. And then the end of the book has 10 poems that are written by young refugees. And these were written in partnership with a magazine called The Other Side of Hope. which publishes refugee and migrant writing, and we collaborated with them. They funded Young Roots to run some workshops. So I'm going to start by reading 3 poems that were written by young women who were members of the Young Roots and Refugee Council girls group that's based in Croydon. This first one was written by a young woman from Albania, and it's called Shells. I hold the shell. It has many colours, brown, white, and a rainbow shiny centre. I hold the shell to my ear, hear the ocean sound. I remember collecting shells from the beach in Vlora. I remember how the sunlight made the shells glow. I remember the summer, the sun, happy with my family. I took the shells home, put them in a glass box. When I was tired of school, I would look at them, think of summer. I hold the shell now, and I'm back on that beach. The second poem I'm going to read is by a young woman from Somalia, and it's called Change. Part 1, then. Sitting under the green tree, thinking about the past, present, and future. Unsafe in my land, red in my land. Thinking while feeling cold and hearing the sound of the leaves brushing against each other. Now I'm in the future, feeling green under the tree. Part 2, now. I used to hear that beauty cost wealth. By the Thames, hearing the waves of the cold water, smelling perfumes and hearing a man busking. There are people around me, the sun and the green grass under my feet, yet I feel empty. So quiet, even though I'm in London, city of life. And then I'm going to read one that's co-written by 5 or 6 young women from the same group. Walking from Blackfriars. We smell many perfumes worn by different people walking past. We hear people talking as they wander. The sound of a busker playing guitar and the river's waves. We feel sunshine warm on our skin, fighting against the cold wind blowing. We see boats on the River Thames and tall modern buildings. It makes me think of the River Rhine in Germany. It makes me think of the Blue Nile from my country, Sudan, that I'd love to see one day. We see amber leaves float down like nature's confetti, making us feel warm. We see white clouds decorate the blue sky like a beautiful garden copied in the water. Now there are 2 pictures the same. The clouds move across the sky and my feelings move too. I am alive. Sadness disappears and I feel happy here. And I'd now like to introduce Advocate and ask him to read a couple of the poems that he was involved in writing. Advocate is a young person from Botswana, and he was attending Young Roots activities in Brent when I met him, and he's now living in Wales and is volunteering as a football coach.
One second. Hello there. Here I am. Yeah, I'd like to read
I'd like to start with the first poem that I normally wrote, and it is titled "I Am." We start with the Southern African invisible girl. I come out at night, hide in shadows. No one can see me. I come in peace, live in pain live in pain, sadness, and sorrow. Many uses me to win, but no one can keep me forever. Only the heart of an eye can keep me. As I travel from place to place through countries searching, majority fall murdered because of me. Those who are strong and brave enough to value and respect, I promise to form the bond of foreverness. I bring tribes, nations, the world together. One individual close to another. I make everlasting families. You can't see me unless you're desperate. I have no color, shape, nor religion. I'm always there for everyone. If you are the one and you hold me carefully, I will hold. You can keep. You can hold me forever. That's the first one. And yeah, and for the second one, we wrote it at the Young Girls Hub. With some of my friends that were attending Young Girls, but I don't know where they are at the moment. I haven't been in contact with them. It's a recipe of trust. The ingredients are 4 pots of feelings, 3 jars of experience, 1 cup of understanding, 1 cup of sorry, 2 tablespoons of care, 1/4 cup of sympathy. It goes, open your cupboards together, pause and feelings and jars of experience. Mix and stir some of my secrets with some of your secrets. But do not tell anyone about our special ingredients. Soak yourself into sympathy for 5 minutes until soft, and pour over 1/4 cup to cover your wounds. Place a dollop of care and sprinkle a cup of understanding on top. Drain your anger to prevent it into boiling. Reduce the heat to protect your friend from the bubbling droplets. You don't need to do anything more. Just leave it, and time will do it for you. Be careful when you're serving to your friends, because if you drop the trust, the broken dish cannot be repaired. It will become rubbish. But if you hold it firmly, it is like a glass of water in a hot day. It can save your life.
Oh, gosh.
Thanks.
Wow, that was really good.
That was excellent.
Fantastic. Right, okay. I would now like to introduce Ruth. I've known Ruth now for a long while and very proud to be her friend. Ruth Hobson is a poet and writer who has been steadily published for 30 years by literary magazines and journals, including Ambit, Magma, The Wide Skirt, The Delinquent, and the Theology Journal. As Ruth Shelton, she co-authored Making Nothing Happen. 5 poets explore faith and spirituality, Ashgate, London. This was with Gavin, De Costa, Eleanor Nesbit, Nicholas Lay, and Mark Price. Her full-length collection, Arthur Talks, was published by Palewell Press in 2019. And I shall now do the thing I should have done before, which is to hold up both the books. This one, which is the gorgeous book that Roz was reading from, and this lovely book, which is called Starwise, which Ruth is about to read from. And now I'm delighted to hand over to Ruth.
In the beginning, Star begins the song, breaking the strings from her untimed waiting, agitating the emptiness, calling along constellations, grazing unknown suns. Chords gather, surge with the tides, grating, rattling the shore, breaking into runs to meet utterance. Now there are words, mountain, sheep, angel, a story sparking like fire in the wind. Now sing the birds in the city's trees. Something still begins tonight, traversing borders, checkpoints, coiled wire, to the place precisely above you, where sound meets light. Thank you very much for your introduction, Camilla. It's great to be with you all tonight, especially my colleagues, Roz, an advocate, and Mina. You can see the family and friends gathering. It's slightly distracting because I want to ask you all how you are. And I need to update my CV. I think half those magazines, Camilla, have gone bankrupt or disappeared or lost. Quite interesting to hear the roll call. The next poem, Making Room, was written sort of during the COVID crisis, and there was also in my mind the concerns around the pollution. There was a child who died from pollution on London streets, or whose death was exacerbated by. And then we had the murder of George Floyd, whose last words were, "I can't breathe." And so I wanted in my Christmas poem to explore the idea of a place where there was room to breathe for everyone. Making room. We all travelled there in our own way, some on foot, blistered and limping, some on wings, some chauffeured, our piles of luggage coming behind. Bolivian chinchilla rat, almost the last of her kind, got there early, fearing it would all be over. Forest tree hovered outside until discovering that if she bent low, she was there, alongside Layla, a street dancer from Rabat. Brown bird sang. Joe, a labourer, saw every brick of every house he'd ever made. There were no surprises. Perhaps how young the mother was, the poverty of the place. It was just that the low light around the child lit all faces, and how, if you knelt down, there was room to breathe, especially if you were late, locked up, or not actually there at all.
Wonderful.
So these Starwise was written over a period of years, over a period of 16 years, because they were poems that I wrote every Christmas, often in great panic, sort of stirring the Christmas cake with one hand and writing the poem with the other. And I think some of you out there were patiently waiting for your poems until well after New Year. And it was always a bit of a thing, would the muse strike in time? But so it's a collection of poems that I wasn't sure would hang together as a book. And when Camilla and I, it was a bit of a risk, really. Camilla's great support, we put it together. And I think it does hang together as a connection because of the themes, which really come from my work, as we've already discussed, because they're not religious poems, but they draw on the Christian tradition, at the heart of which is a homeless family. Prime time. Beside a boarded up Burger King, a white pigeon begins to sing. In the aisles of Everything's a Pound, two enemies passed, then turned around. While Krista slept in the bus station, forgotten stars made a new constellation and midnight chimed. Sleepers in the doorways heard their names, and as they stirred, the town hall's lions spread stone wings. 3 homeless men appeared as kings. A sail unfurled in the waiting skip, which cleaved through the square as a blazing skip. A child at the helm. Women of the night wrote on the prow, "We name this ship the Here and Now." And those of you from Nottingham, there's quite a few, will recognise the reference to the Market Square Lions, so where people used to meet before mobiles, used to meet at the left line or the right line. They were rather imperious looking, but as a child growing up, I always felt they were sort of on the move somehow. They could suddenly come into life as they do in that poem. And my last poem for this set is called Seagulls in Land, which, although it doesn't appear so, is another Nottingham scene. I live where I live, I sort of just turned down the street there, near a municipal park called the Forest. And it always fascinates me at this time of the year to see the seagulls gathering, because we couldn't be more inland. I think Ashby de la Zouch is the furthest from the sea in England, and not that's just up the road. So you couldn't really. I think Skegness is 75 miles away, Skeggy, and so these seagulls seem like messengers from another world. Suddenly they're with us, massed on the frosted green of the city park. Heads alert, turning to something seen quite beyond these streets. We are far away from the sea, but the new blown air, the high star-like spray are near. A bell rings in the town, the answering tide breaks at our feet. A homeless man, half asleep, shakes his friend's shoulder. They strike a match, another joins them, then more, light gathering, endlessly refracting from shore to city, city to shore.
Wow. Thanks to everybody so far. I'm having a wonderful evening. There's nothing like hearing the poems that you care about read aloud. It just does something inside your chest, which is marvelous. And now, Ruth, you're going to introduce us to Mina.
Mina, yes. Mina, this feels very weird because my niece is over there. There's a lot of other family and friends around. It feels like a party, but I'm very proud to introduce Mina Hobson-Mazur, who is studying full-time at the Royal Academy of Music. She plays the viola. And Mina, will you tell us what you're going to play?
Yes, yes. So I will be playing two movements from the Bach's Fourth Cello Suite, but obviously rewritten for the viola. So that would be the Allemande and the Courant.
Mina?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but the sound isn't good. I don't know what's happening at your end, but maybe you're too far from the microphone.
I can turn off, there's a special sound thing. I think I meant to turn it on and I forgot. I'll start again. Sorry.
Thank you. I don't want to.
This should be better. Is that better, just to check?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was brilliant.
Live. Okay, I can hear an echo. That's it. Probably be Pavla if Mina turns off her sound. Roz, we had some poems from you before, and I'm very happy that you're going to read again. Do hold up your book for the people who've joined us since that moment. It has this incredible picture on the front. Just remind me of the name of the artist who did this.
It was my friend Alana Mitchell who drew the robins. And I'm actually going to read, the first poem I'm going to read has the image about robins.
Marvellous.
So yeah, we started with some of the poems written by young people, and it was lovely to hear you reading, Advocate. And I'm now going to read the poems that were inspired, some of the poems that were inspired by my work, one-to-one support work with young refugees. So in this first poem, I'm imagining myself into the shoes of a young Afghan boy, and I worked with many young Afghans in Croydon. This poem's called Some Hopes. For a pen that knows how to write in English, for Google Translate to exist inside my brain, to be able to sleep at night again, for bigger muscles from lifting weights at 3 a.m. in the gym next to Lidl on nights I can't sleep, for the Red Cross to find my family, that the girl I met on Facebook who lives in Pakistan will ask her dad if we can get married, to never be in trouble with the police, to one day join the police if the Home Office lets me stay, to lose the label of failed asylum seeker with no recourse to public funds, to stop eating chicken and chips every day, to one day eat my mother's lamb curry again, to stop seeing the moment the Taliban shot my father when I close my eyes, for an end to the questions about that moment and where I was when it happened, on the way to school. What date it was, I don't know. What time of day it was, sometime in the morning. And how old I was at the time, 12 or 13, but I don't know my exact age. For someone to tell me it's all going to be okay. For someone to acknowledge it's never going to be okay. To see blue robins from Afghanistan fly through Croydon. That the red-breasted robins will welcome them and let them stay. To hear them singing together by the streetlights outside my bedroom window. This next poem I'm going to read speaks to the experience of many of the young people that I've worked with, many of whom arrived in their mid-teens and didn't have a secure immigration status for 9, 10 plus years. This one's called 10 Winters. Mid-January 2009, Hafiz stumbles out, suddenly chilled without the other bodies packed in the lorry. Christmas Day 2009, he chinks glasses with his foster dad, tastes his first sip of beer. Hafiz hears his mother's voice scolding him, but she is not here. Ramadan, November 2010. Hafiz and the other Afghan boys pray in the Gravesend Mosque. Wearing new tracksuits paid for by Kent Social Services, they prepare meat and rice for Eid al-Adha in a shared kitchen. It doesn't taste like his mother's. School Christmas Dance 2011. Year 11 dances in the hall. Susie Miller kisses Hafiz in the playground, their breath blowing clouds of steam, tongues tingling with Alco Pops and sherbet dips. 8th of January 2013. Dear Hafiz, we refer to your inquiry regarding Javid Safi and very much regret the British Red Cross has been unable to obtain any information regarding the present location of your father because of insufficient information. Kind regards, International Family Tracing Coordinator. New Year's Day 2014.
I am afraid we've lost Roz for the moment. Wait for a sec.
Hello, I'm not sure when I lost you.
New Year's Day,
New Year's
2014.
Okay. New Year's Day 2014. Hafiz's 18th, according to the Home Office. Happy birthday, says his foster dad. I'll drive you to your new house next week. 23rd of February 2015. We are here today to do a human rights assessment, Hafiz. The Home Office has refused your asylum claim. Kent County Council has no duty to continue providing you with housing and financial support unless it would breach your human rights for us to stop. 24th of December 2015. Hafiz dozes under the bright lights of a London night bus. His folded legs crammed across the seat. He'd tried all three friends. Sorry, not tonight. 19th of February 2017. The overnight National Express coach pulls into Liverpool just in time. Hafiz cradles the bundles of paper like a baby. His further submissions, his last chance. Late February 2018. For weeks, he's been checking his phone every 10 minutes. Sitting in Brockwell Park, welcoming the first pink blossom. The judge allowed your appeal. You can stay. And I'm going to finish with two shorter poems. One which speaks to Hafiz and many others' experiences of becoming appeal rights exhausted and not having any rights to support. This one's called The Club. Now that judge's decision has landed on your doormat, you've joined the appeal rights exhausted. This also gives you access to another exclusive group, people with no recourse to public funds. In case you want to know what happens next, they might do a human rights assessment and decide it's reasonable to stop your support because you can go home, even though you know you can never go back if you want to stay alive. Then you'll get a month's notice before your money is stopped and you're evicted from your house. If you're lucky, you can sofa surf, beg money from friends, always wondering, worrying when they'll get sick of helping you and stop. If you don't have so many friends, you might sleep in the park, on a bus if you can borrow an Oyster card, or maybe in the mosque or church. You'll get used to eating less. You'll find the places you can get a free meal. Remember, people throw away good food in bins. Welcome to the club of second-class humans. Don't look so sad. You'll learn to survive below the radar, like we all do. And the final poem I'm going to share with you is, I suppose, trying to convey some of the experience that I have had as a support worker, trying to support and assist homeless young people without being able to make any very quick changes. This is Boundaries. You slump into the opposite chair. My shoulders tense when I meet your eye. You answer my questions. I hold back a sigh. Busy myself ticking boxes and stare down at the form on my clipboard where I record what happened, the reasons why. You fled, fearing your family could die. I ask where you live. You tell me nowhere. I outline your options in a steady voice, talking of referrals to hostels instead, of flinging open my arms, holding you tight, stepping outside my role with another choice, inviting you home to offer you a bed, not sending you out to the cold, dark night. Thank you very much to Ruth for inviting me, and to Camilla for publishing Welcoming Blue Robins and for organising tonight.
Well, I have to say, I've been sitting here just as well. I'm on mute because I've been crying. I think your poems and Ruth's are just incredible, the way they reach out to real people. And now I think we should turn back to Ruth and have some more poems from her. And I'm very grateful to have you both here. You're on mute, Ruth.
Weird. Found the thing. Great. So someone rather oddly and rather randomly accused me of hating rhyme the other day, and I was rather stung by this. I love rhyme. It's like saying, that you hate cake or chocolate or something, or a big glass of red wine. So I'm going to read a fully rhyming, full-fat, calorie-laden ballad on the theme of the evening. It's called Aground. Some say the boat had silver wings and a single silver oar, without a sound circling round, and never came ashore. Some say there were three with crimson sails and a king in every stern. Each gold crown gleamed, and they sometimes seemed to go and then return. Some say the boat was draped in purple, weighed down with graven stones, and the priestly caste before the mast sat stiffly on gilded thrones. Some say the boat was empty, half sunk and bound to fail, but wooden nails and white race sails told another tale. An old woman stood up in the market. Stand round and listen to me. The boat of your tales with tattered sails is coming towards the quay. The mother who crouches in the prow is poor and dispossessed. With sleepless eyes, she calms the cries of the baby at her breast. Throw out rough ropes for outstretched hands and bring them safe to shore. Let their feet mark as they disembark a pathway to your door. The place where we meet the homeless stranger, and the place where the lost are found, the place of our toil on familiar soil, tonight becomes holy ground. I don't know if, I think most of you probably know the Bruegel painting. It's called The Adoration of the Kings, but at first sight, it's just the teeming life of commerce in in a small town, all sorts going on, people being arrested for drunkenness. Some men are cutting down the tree and you feel somehow this is illicit. They're trying to drag it off before anyone notices. There are card games, there are people brewing, fights, and almost unnoticed in the bottom left-hand corner, this is all in the snow, it's a wonderful painting, there is what we might call a typical nativity scene with these crouch figures, 3 crouch figures kneeling around the manger. And yeah, it seems to me when you go into the city, going to Nottingham, that I've described a bit tonight, with the lions outside the town hall and so on, and Roz might feel this with her work, that there's an invisible life teeming underneath the life of the city, that the shops and the commerce and at the moment, this glittering consumerist nightmare. But once you know, there's a whole drama of life, of hidden people leading hidden lives. And so this next poem, which is called How to Find Us, is really a way of looking at the city from the point of view of how the city receives its homeless and migrant citizens. And sometimes I think the cities are not worthy of those hidden citizens. How to find us. But you, concrete precinct, where Patrick O'Leary raises a glass, a cautious star searches the underpass, silvering a sleeping bag, bent tin mug, propped railway sign which reads first class, where Patrick O'Leary raises a glass. But you, railway arches, where Polish Johnny plays his penny whistle to faint singing through budlier and thistle, revellers, a choir. Above the tunnel arise, graffiti shining through the drizzle, where Polish Johnny plays his penny whistle. But you, Old Town Square, where Bazza, Cass and Mel play giant chess, blurred by Christmas lights and rain, they're lost, unless those unseen creaking wings moving on the wires can point the way. Whose crown is whose is anybody's guess, where Bazza, Kaz and Mel play giant chess. But you, doorway in a glass cigarette, aka the shark, where Mary waits for the light to come. Your 10-foot sign relays the day's income in stocks and shares. Perhaps the door will open, someone will speak, but your glittering sides are dumb, where Mary waits for the light to come. Some of my friends are writing memoirs, and they're very compelling accounts, particularly if you know the person. My memoir would be rather long at this stage at 73, so I think it's a great relief to everyone that I'm not going to embark on this. But in a way, this poem is in 20-odd lines, is a bit of a memoir, because it starts with a very strong childhood memory, which some people here will have shared, and ends up with the work that we've been talking about, that I did for many years with homeless people, and also features the market square, the landscape against which all this happens. How to make a scene. Upend a cardboard box, paint it brown and green, paste red cellophane behind the cutout window, light a candle, ask a grown-up to help, run round, be awed, astonished at the glow. Find Mexican Mary in her brown poncho. Noah will do for Joseph from the old Noah's Ark. Twice his size, a raffia sheep keeps watch with an odd menagerie. 1 year, a clockwork shark. Leave them round the empty walnut shell. The half dark is alive with expectation. It will follow you up the stairs and never leave you. Somewhere on the journey, the town hall clock strikes midnight. You are there under the Christmas lights in the old market square. You speak. She doesn't answer. There's nothing you can say. She smiles back and pats her belly. You stay a while, give money, turn away, turn back, walk towards the woman and her child, crouch beside them to keep dry, peer round the cardboard at the rare worshipper, the passers-by. So, before I read the last poem, I just want to say how great it's been working with Roz and Mina, an advocate, where things all came together in a mysterious way, so many connections. And a shout out to the great Palewell Press and the great Camilla. And just to remind everyone that all the books you've heard about tonight will make perfect Christmas presents. So Palewell has a shop, Camilla, with where Roz's book and my book are available. And thank you all very much for tuning in. And I just wish you all peace over the season of light. My late father had a story about a friend of his who bought, by accident, bought a huge picture at an auction, some great monarch of the Glen or something, and he brought it back and it wouldn't fit in the garage. So he put it in front of the open garage and then went off on his bicycle somewhere, came back on his bicycle and forgot that the picture was there and cycled straight through the picture. And so that was partly the inspiration for this final poem, which is called Through. And also have in my mind the idea we could call everything an icon. I think the first time I heard the word used, icon used to describe something outside, a traditional Orthodox or early Renaissance religious image, was when Madonna was referred to as an icon, which I can sort of see. But, IKEA storage jars are referred to as iconic now. So I was sort of exploring that idea of, and it seems to me an icon, an idol is something that you can only see the thing. An icon you see through to some sort of reality beyond. Through. After the raid, she ran through the archway in the souk, barely aware it was a church. Candles fizzled below the icon, a dark face high up, almost too dark to see. She kept running through the blurred light and smoke, following the wall of supplicants' finger marks, through encrusted silver, azurite, malachite, cinnabar, orpiment, gilt, gesso, poplar wood, torn canvas creaking in the wind, patched indigo round a mother bent over her baby, lit with new stars.
Oh, thank you all very, very, very much. Shall we unmute so we can give them a proper round of applause?
Thank you.
It's been marvellous. Big thank you to Advocate and Mina for your part, and to Ruth and to Roz. It's been lovely, and the audience for coming. I'm not going to disappear off at this moment. I'm going to leave the session open in case anyone would like to say anything. Feel free to unmute and chime in and say whatever you want to.
Oh, you can unmute.
Yep. I can see Mina's parents in the background.
Hello, Mina's mum and dad. I was very moved by what I heard tonight, and it's just great to have been involved. So thank you for putting it on Zoom and opening it up to people. I'm in Lincolnshire. I'm sure we're spread across the country. So thank you for sharing your talents over Zoom, and maybe one day I'll hear some of them in real life. So thank you.
Thanks for coming, Catherine.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It means a lot.
We've got an event, haven't we, Ruth, coming up in Nottingham?
I have, yes. I'm reading at St Peter's Church as part of the annual Bach Choir concert, carol concert, and I'm sort of slotting in with some of their songs and hymns and readings. So it's only an hour, 11 o'clock till 12 o'clock on December the 21st.
Oh, wonderful.
Be lovely to see you there. Yeah.
Thank you.
Uh,
Roz, have you got any events coming up?
No, I think we had the one at the South Bank in November, but yeah, I don't have anything else.
Yes, I guess you had a run of book launches in
Yeah.
several different places. I kept quiet when people said, and now we have a launch of The Amazing. And I thought, yeah, we did one last week.
Yeah.
That was a really good set. But no, that's fantastic. I felt incredibly moved this evening. I don't know what it is about you two as authors, but you definitely have my number, and I can't listen to your stuff without crying, but in a good way, because you are recognizing the human being in everybody, and even the seagull in the seagull, if you know what I mean. Instead of seeing everybody as a number or a type of person, you recognize individuals, both of you, and I really applaud that because I think we need to do more of that.
Yes, I too.
Come on, Charlotte.
I'm Charlotte. Hello, everybody. I too wanted to add to Catherine's comments and Camilla's comments, just to say thank you, Camilla, so much for organising this event. And I really enjoyed your poems, Roz. Really lovely. I have a couple of friends who work with refugees, and so I understood a little bit more because of that, to kind of understand where your poems were coming from. So I really appreciated them. And Mina, thank you so much for your playing beautiful. And Advocate, I loved your poem. I liked the one that related to the recipe.
Thank you so much.
Particularly interested. I thought that was a really clever poem and I enjoyed it a lot. And I also just wanted to say that I thought this was a perfect timing for probably deliberate, I know, for the event, because I don't know about you, but yes, I am rushing around, doing silly things and getting all mixed up in my head, with Christmas coming. And so tonight it's really good to sort of stop. And it's a kind of therapy to stop and listen to these lovely poems. And it's really had an effect on me in that way, to take time to stop and listen to a different point of view. So thank you very much, all of you.
Thank you, Charlotte.
Charlotte is my sister, in case you're in any doubt.
Yeah, but I'm not. I'm being very objective as well.
Oh yeah.
Trying to be.
Well, I feel as if we all ought to go to the pub now. It seems weird.
Yeah.
Zoom is really weird.
Do you remember how we used to have a glass of beer or a cup of coffee or something beside us when we did those early Zooms?
Absolutely.
I'm very glad to have Zoom. I had just signed up for it when COVID happened, and I'd kind of worked out how to use it. I'm still not brilliant with it, but it was nice to have a way of reaching out to people wherever they were. And tomorrow night I'm doing a Zoom about poems written to a man in prison, and the people joining in are in America and Turkey and England, and it's just amazing that you can actually do that. So it was lovely, but it's also nice when you can be there with somebody. You get an even stronger vibe from that. Advocate, you're based in Wales at the moment, is that right?
Yeah, Cardiff.
Yeah. What's the weather like down there? Is it very wet and windy?
Very windy, storms, rain every day.
There's going to be a big storm tonight, I think. But it was fantastic to have you reading, because when I saw the manuscript from Roz, I could imagine many, many people taking part and contributing their words, but to actually meet you and know that one of the poems in the book is by you is a great honor. Thank you very much for being part of tonight. It's lovely to meet you.
Thank you so much. Lovely to meet you too.
Please keep writing.
Oh, I will do that.
I always say that to promising poets. Keep writing. It's the biggest thing. You mentioned therapy, Charlotte. For me, writing is therapy as well as attending events like this. And I can put things down that I'm almost not ready to say to anyone else, and then I can share them after that. But it's so helpful. Sorry, I'm talking so much. I must stop and let the rest of you talk if you want to.
Well, I think I'm going off to get that big glass of red wine I've been dreaming about for the last hour. But thank you very much, all of you, for coming. Talk soon.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye, Roz. Bye, Ruth.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you for coming.